Wow, Ethereum is on fire and it is crushing Bitcoin this year. This is crazy. If you would have bought Bitcoin at the beginning of this year, you would have 2x'd your money. So you would have made the equivalent of what the stock market makes in 10 years, which is very impressive. But if you would have bought Ethereum at the beginning of this year, you would have 4x'd your money. So I made a video earlier this year talking about Ethereum going to $10,000 a coin. People thought it was crazy, it's impossible, it's not gonna happen. So I wanna revisit that video because at the beginning of this year, Ethereum was worth $775 and now it's shattered past $3,200. Next stop, over 9,000. Not investment advice, just Dragon Ball Z references. So in this video, I wanna make sense of why Ethereum is going up in value so much, and then after we figure that out, I wanna compare it against Bitcoin, and then talk about if it's still worth buying Ethereum today. So let's get into it. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the flippening. That's not the flippening. This is the flippening. Hiya. That's also me just showing off. Nothing to do with the flippening, but to understand where Ethereum is going and where it's been, we actually have to time travel back to 2011, when a young kid by the name of Vitalik Buterin first discovered Bitcoin. So he falls in love with the community and he starts playing around with Bitcoin on and off for about 2 years, until he really falls in love with it to the point where he drops out of college, and then quickly realizes that Bitcoin is very limited in its capability of what it could actually do, because Vitalik believed that blockchains were much more capable than just trying to be a currency or a money like Bitcoin was trying to be. What if somebody could create a cryptocurrency that was also programmable so that other people could create apps on top of that money? So fast forward to 2015 and he launches the Ethereum network. And then fast forward to today, where that young kid has become the youngest crypto billionaire in the world. Now, Vitalik was so ahead of his time that he actually compared Bitcoin to a calculator. This is not a calculator, it's just the closest thing I own that looks like one, because nobody owns calculators anymore. And he compared Ethereum to this, a smartphone, because you could put your calculator inside of your smartphone, but you can also have music apps, gaming apps, and there's a lot of things you can do with a smartphone, like buy Coinbase on day one and lose all your money. But obviously, this comparison didn't sit well with the Bitcoin community, and thus began a rivalry between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now in 2015, I was trying to decide where I should invest my $1,000. Should I put it into Bitcoin or Ethereum? Because at that moment in time, there was a brief moment in history when Ethereum was only $8 billion away from dethroning Bitcoin and becoming the #1 cryptocurrency. So I would stay up every single day on coinmarketcap.com trying to decide where I should put my money, because it was so close, and if the two ever switched, that day would have become known as the flippening. But it never happened, and Bitcoin remained, and obviously still is, and has always been, the #1 cryptocurrency by market cap. So that day became known as the floppening. But now Ethereum is making a huge comeback, and it's bigger than ever. Coming to theaters absolutely nowhere. Let's talk about why Ethereum is skyrocketing in price and why it's become so valuable. This is so huge. I don't know why more people aren't talking about this, but this is one of, if not the single biggest validator to Ethereum and to crypto in general that I've ever heard of. So here's the thing, the EIB, the European Investment Bank, has actually created 100 million euros worth of 2-year bonds. Remember, bonds are just promises made to investors that they'll pay them back their money. Who cares about that? That's not a huge deal. The big deal is the fact that they used the Ethereum blockchain to issue those tokens. Crazy. And what's crazier is that Goldman Sachs is one of the partnering banks on that. So here's the thing, within the European Union, which is a collection of 27 European countries, used to be 28 until the UK pulled out, now we have 27, is a collection of countries that is partially funded by the EIB, the European Investment Bank. Now this bank gives loans and funds things like corporations, countries, and really anything that furthers the interest of the European Union. And they created these tokens, 100 million euros worth of 2-year bonds, and they used Ethereum, which is insane. And they were actually given a AAA credit rating, which is the highest grade rating that a bond can even get. By the way, this AAA rating doesn't mean that Ethereum is the safest grade investment possible and you should YOLO all your money into it and you can't lose money. All this credit rating means is that the entity, in this case the bank that's creating these bonds, is considered credit worthy, aka they're trustworthy enough not to default on their loans, which again is just a fancy way of saying they'll pay back their money. So the rating is not that big of a deal. What is a big deal though is that the EIB is huge. And it's crazy to think that a major bank would choose a crypto to create these bonds and raise money. Because this means that for the first time, a huge major bank has recognized some sort of an advantage to doing that. Whether that's because it's faster, it's cheaper, or less red tape to raise money, doesn't matter. What matters to us as consumers is the fact that a major player is now involved in the crypto space, and for the first time, we are able to see the major inner workings of a major bank and how it moves its money and where it spends it, which is kind of crazy to me. So I never thought I'd live to see the day, but this is a massive win, not just for Ethereum, but for crypto in general. So congrats to Ethereum. That is one of the major reasons why it's gone up in price so much, but it's also not even one of the biggest reasons. Another reason why Ethereum is going up in value is because of NFTs or NFTs, these non-fungible tokens. These are the digital collectibles that were supposed to be supply chain authenticators, where if I ordered some Yeezys and they came in, I could verify their authenticity using the blockchain rather than using a company like StockX. But instead, these NFTs ended up becoming these digital pieces of art that artists would create and then make ridiculous amounts of money from, right? So a lot of the NFTs that get created today are actually based using Ethereum. Even though they're not called Ethereum tokens, they're still using the Ethereum network to power them. But the reason that NFTs are so important to driving up the price of Ethereum is because of the lockup. It's almost like when you go house shopping, right? If you want to buy a house, you need to lock money away into escrow. That escrow is a third-party company that gets to keep your money until certain conditions are met. It's almost like a good faith payment. So smart contracts are exactly the same because they lock that money up. Andrei, this is still confusing. I don't understand. It's true, this is all really, really confusing, but it's almost like when smart contracts, when you lock that money away, you're reducing the supply, because then that's less money for the exchanges to be able to sell to people, because that money is actually being used to build things with. And that is one of the reasons why I personally think Ethereum just cannot fail, because its success does not depend on supply and demand like Bitcoin does. Its success is more dependent on people actually using the blockchain as it was meant to be used. Whatever that means, we're still trying to figure that out. Some people think it's money, pure and simple, like Bitcoin, which is the best at doing money, and then other people think it's everything else, like decentralized finance, NFTs, whatever we have. But anyway, this concept of staking is extremely powerful in driving the price of Ethereum higher, because again, it's reducing the entire supply, despite the fact that Ethereum doesn't technically have a fixed supply. But wait, there's more, because here's another reason why Ethereum is crushing it. This is super cool. If you're nerdy enough to stick around the next part, it's just really cool. Trust me, it's worth it. But here's the thing, with crypto, the reason people love it so much and why it works so well is because number one, it makes people money, but number two, it's because nobody owns it, it's decentralized, and three, it's very secure peer-to-peer money, right? You've heard all of these buzzwords before. But we accomplish this by using what's called a consensus model, which is just a fancy word for saying a model that we all consents to. It's a model that we all agree to that works equally using human greed and based on game theory. So there are two major ways of going about this. The first is how Bitcoin does it, which is a proof of work consensus model. So in this model, it requires people to use beefy computers and crazy mining rigs and electricity to solve complex algorithms, right? The critique though is that you're not actually doing anything useful with this energy. I mean, sure, you're solving crazy computing algorithms and you're using your nerdy internet money, but you're not actually helping the world. You're not helping third world countries, you're not helping the environment, you're not powering homes, you're not powering cars, it's just kind of wasted energy, right? So along comes Ethereum with its new proof of stake consensus model. And that is the better model because steak is delicious. I like my medium rare. Changed my mind. I don't know where that came from. But consensus models for proof of stake are better because it tries to accomplish the exact same thing. It tries to decentralize and secure the network, but it does that instead of requiring computers and electricity, it requires people to show proof of money. If you have money, you get to consensus. So to recap, in the first model, you have computers, you can vote. In the second model, you have money, you can also vote. So these consensus models are so important because that's what secures the network. That's what prevents people from attacking it, because the only two individuals that even can attack are those that are vested in the network, whether it's by having those expensive computers or by already having money locked up in the network. And I wouldn't want to double spend or attack it because the moment that I expend my resources to do so, and the moment that I steal it, it becomes worth zero. So when people are like, what happens if somebody colludes and steals the money? Well, that wouldn't happen because the moment it's stolen, crypto becomes worth nothing. And that is the brilliance of crypto and the consensus models and game theory. So back to Ethereum. With this new consensus model of proof of stake, anybody with money can actually become a validator by staking their money into beacons, not bacons, I'm just super hungry. So that just means if you can imagine an airport with all of these airplanes, it's the towers that instruct the pilots on which routes to take. And you can become a validator if you put 32 Ethereum into these nodes, and now you can become a validator and a participating player on the network. And you get rewarded interest for doing that. And so far, there have been 4,145,000 Ether roughly staked away, which is worth roughly $14 billion. What does that mean? That means that is how many Ethereums are now not available to buy, which further drives the price up. So those are the three major reasons. It's adoption by the banks, it's because of utility, and because of the consensus model with proof of stake. So now let's talk about whether or not it's worth buying Ethereum at this price point and how you should go about it. And the answer is, I'm not a financial advisor, so I can't give any advice. But if it were me and I didn't have any Ethereum, then I would do what I've always done, DCA, dollar cost average into Ethereum, and I would do that for years and years and years, and I would only put what I could afford to lose. For some people that's $100 a week, for some people that's $1,000 a week. But whatever it is, I would treat this money as though it's YOLO and I'm never gonna see it again. And even though I treat it like a serious form of an investment strategy, I would never advise people to do the same because crypto is extremely volatile. And I'm very fortunate to make a stupid high income with YouTube, and most people can't say that. And so for them, I would never advise them to make that their main investment strategy, even though I believe they're probably gonna be the best form of investments in the next 10 years. But regardless, the difference between a make or break mistake is understanding what you're buying. And most people can understand how stocks work, right? It's a company that makes money, you buy a stock, you share in the profits of that company. Super straightforward. But with crypto, there is no company, there are no promises, it's a technology, it evolves fast, it's not regulated, and things can happen overnight that are crazy, like becoming a multi-millionaire in 69 days. Insane. You could also lose that money overnight as well. So you never know. But Ethereum and Bitcoin, out of all the cryptocurrencies, are my favorite by far. Bitcoin, because it's scarce and it's the best at being money, it's gonna protect the value. Ethereum has limitless potential, who knows where it's gonna go. So if I had a hypothetical $1,000 to invest, I would put 50% into Bitcoin, 50% into Ethereum, and I would call it a day, and that's exactly what I would do. I really think both can coexist together peacefully, like Harry Potter and Voldemort, if they were friends. Don't forget to grab up to $250 worth of free Bitcoin using this BlockFi link right here, blockfi.com/Andrei. Once you do, go get 2 free stonks with Webull. If you deposit $100 using the link down below, you can get 2 free stonks, each of which can be worth up to $1,850. Once you get them, go track them automatically with my spreadsheet linked down below in my Patreon. Love you, thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to know your thoughts. Which one do you like better, Bitcoin or Ethereum? I'm kind of half and half, I own a lot of both. But anyway, love you, I'll see you back here on Monday and Friday, sometimes a Wednesday, bye-bye.